So welcome to the Mediterranean Food Cook-Along. I'm just here to let you know at the beginning, I'm just this is part of the Dublin Food Co-op Community Development Programme. And so we have a lot of events over the next few months online. So we hope you'll enjoy the event today, and that you'll keep an eye on the programme on our website over the coming months. And so we're going to be recording this session, just so you know, and we hope to make it available for you online, so that if you need to be able to check back on something Mary said, you'll be able to do that. Okay, Mary, I let you go ahead with the introduction.
Great, thanks very much. Hi everybody, and thanks so much for joining me here today. So we're going to cook a really nice Mediterranean feast. So we've got recipes, which is a Spanish chickpea recipe, which makes a really nice lunch, I think, for today, served with bread. You could also do it with rice or quinoa to make it a slightly more substantial meal for your dinner. And we are going to do roasted red peppers, which we'll serve today with our meal. They can be served at room temperature normally. You can marinate them and keep them in the fridge, and eat them with your lunch every day or with different meals. And then we're going to do a lovely olive tapenade, which will form part of our Greek Dakos. The Dakos are a little bit like Italian bruschetta, so lightly toasted bread with some toppings, tomatoes, and in this case feta cheese. So yeah, would everybody like to just give a quick introduction, just say hello, your name? I can read your names there on the screen, but it'd be nice just to say hello if you're local to the food co-op, if you've done these events before, maybe why you're interested in joining today or what you'd like to get out of it.
Hi, I'm Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen and I have I live with Kathleen's sister, but unfortunately we never got to meet.
I know, I never seen you before, so.
Yeah.
No, I went to cookery things before, but I've never done an online one. So
okay.
I'm really looking forward to doing it. Yeah, and I have been I've been there.
So you know this area quite well.
Oh no, not at all. No, I've gone.
Oh no,
I've never actually done a cook-along. So I've gone and watched, but I always thought when I went to ones that I watched, I wish I was cooking at the same time, because otherwise you don't really learn anything.
Yeah. We're all about getting hands-on here anyway today, so everybody can join in. Great, thanks, Kathleen. So who's next? Pauline, do you want to go? Hi.
Yeah, I just live up the road, and yeah, it's my first online event, so yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So you're local to this area as well. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm a vegetarian. I've always been a vegetarian, so I'm looking forward to, yeah. Okay,
great. And Margaret, hi Margaret. We were in touch yesterday briefly.
Yeah, hi Mary. Yeah, no, I occasionally shop in the co-op, and a friend passed me on the information, and I just said I'd cook along and have a bit of lunch ready for today.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, hopefully we'll be ready to go around 1, maybe a little bit after. So just to hit lunchtime there, so you can see.
Breaking up on anybody's account? Just me.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
And is the video's okay?
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay for everybody, is it? Oh, okay.
Okay, so once we get started, we should, I mean, if there might be 1 or 2 more people who want to make an introduction, but once we get started, we can we can mute the microphones. And
yeah, I think that's a good idea if everybody mutes themselves. And then if you have any questions at any stage, feel free to ask. Just unmute yourselves and ask away.
You can ask the chat as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
So who do we have next, Sarah?
Hi. Hi, I'm actually, you can see I'm not in the kitchen at all, I'm in bed. I'm having an official duvet day today, so some plans are kind of compromised. But I'm a member of the co-op, and I'm working on a farm, on an organic farm in Donegal at the moment.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing. But I am a very bad cook, but if I can see you do something and you're not using any magic tricks or blow torches or whatever, then I'll get a sense I maybe can do
Nothing
it myself.
too complicated today.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Anyway,
it's
nice
fairly
to meet
accessible. Great to
Good.
meet you, Sarah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks. I'm going to turn off my camera if you don't mind. I'm
That's
just not in a
fine.
great
No
mood today.
problem. No
Thanks.
problem. Hi, Paul.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm contacting you from Roscommon here.
Oh, great.
And then just getting all my stuff together. We live on a 14-acre holding here.
Oh, fantastic.
And we have plenty of fresh produce from the garden, not just at
Yeah,
the moment,
lovely.
but we get what we can. The rosemary got a bit of a belch with the frost there.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I managed to
Where are you? What county are you in, Paul?
North Roscommon near Boyle.
Oh, Roscommon.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. Sorry. Thanks.
Just saying hello to everyone. Okay.
Nice that we've got people from beamed in from different parts of the country. That's great.
It, yeah.
And that's the great thing about Zoom.
Idea.
Great. So shall we get started then? Is everybody ready?
Where's your restaurant? The Goodness Kitchen.
Oh, it's not a restaurant. It's
okay.
It's I do cooking workshops. So in different venues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not a restaurant just yet, but maybe one day.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
quite
Very
in my
good.
kitchen at the moment.
Good.
So we'll start today. We're gonna preheat the oven to 190 degrees and put the peppers in the oven. Okay, literally now I put, the recipe just has 2. I'm going to do 3 just because I know I'll use them. Literally just as
Sorry,
they are.
what gas mark is that?
Oh, that is a very good point. I'm very sorry. I don't.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry, I'll look it up.
I would say like a kind of, normally if the oven it would be 180 for many things for roasting, slightly hotter. So it's kind of.
Is the 180 the highest? What's the?
I would say it's a fairly standard medium to slightly high oven heat. I'm sorry now, I haven't looked at the gas.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry.
Maybe you can look up Delia conversions and just look at the conversion there. Yeah. So,
and we leave them uncovered.
So yeah, uncovered. So we'll preheat the oven there, and wait till it gets up to the right temperature. And we're literally going to put the peppers in as they are. You can give them a rinse, pat them dry, I'd say. No need to de-seed them or anything at this stage. Okay, we'll do that afterwards. So and then meanwhile, we're going to get started on our Spanish chickpea dish. Okay, so I've got another camera here that kind of shows you close up what I'm doing. I haven't really tried this before, so bear with me, and because it means I need to sort of switch the screens to show you. Can you see that other screen?
Yeah.
Should we do it like that, or because there's a way that I can sort of switch, highlight or spotlight one of the screens? But if you can see it like that, or you can see both screens at the same time, then maybe. Yeah. Is that okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
For the recording, it's probably better to swap.
Okay.
Swap it over because so.
Okay. Let me see if I can do it, Kevin. And so add spotlight. Does that work?
Yeah.
You can see. Yeah. Okay, great. So here we go with the Spanish stew. We have got. I've got all my ingredients here. I've got an onion, fairly large. My cloves of garlic. I'm using a yellow pepper, and got my parsley there, and all the spices all weighed out. And you can do it as you go along, of course. So we'll start by putting some oil in our pot. Now, I'll just chop up the onions. So So there's not a huge amount of prep for this dish. So it's, you could, you know, if you're working from home, for example, you could do it for your lunch someday, and it definitely keeps quite well as well. And just put it in the fridge for a couple of days. And I think the flavours with the spices and everything actually improves over time. Okay. So I'll just heat up my oil there. Give it a couple of minutes. I'll watch it so it doesn't burn. We can slice up the pepper as well. So I think I said in the intro to this recipe, you could use celery. I've seen a few different recipes for this, and you know, with kind of slightly different ingredients. You could use celery; it gives a nice crunch. It's also got loads of flavour. You could use red pepper, orange pepper, but I figured since we're doing some roasted red peppers, we'll do something a little bit different.
Oh, sorry, Mary, do we cut up the garlic as well, is it?
So you can crush the garlic. We're going to put the onions in first anyway, the onions and the pepper together.
Okay, so just do
you can chop or crush the garlic. I'm going to just do it directly into the pot when it's ready to go in. I'm going to throw in an onion just to see if the oil is sizzling. We want to make sure not to burn our oil. And remind me now, I need to put the peppers in the oven when that light goes off. So I'll put it on a timer. Okay, so my oil is sizzling there a little bit. So I'm ready to put in all the onions. And we'll turn it down to a medium heat there. You don't want it to burn.
How long do the peppers go into the oven for, Mary?
About 40 minutes in total, so 20 minutes, and then you turn them, and another 20. But the idea is that you sort of blacken them on the outside, and then the skins come off quite easily.
Okay, thank you.
Now, so I think a key to many dishes is to cooking your onions properly. You want them nice and translucent. We'll do it on a medium heat. You don't want the oil too hot. Just kind of keep a stir on them there, and once they're translucent and soft, they're kind of ready. And I'm actually, I'm putting in the peppers at the same time. So the peppers, I'm gonna kind of slice them fairly small. It gives the dish a nice bit of texture. And also I thought using yellow peppers adds an extra dash of colour as well. There's plenty of colour in this dish. You've got the parsley, green parsley, the tomatoes obviously. So I'll add my peppers in, and they can cook away alongside the onions. You might want to turn up the heat just a little bit to make sure they keep cooking. So it probably takes about, I think we say like 6 minutes, maybe slightly longer. It's worth giving it the time anyway, just to make sure it's all cooked and bring out all the flavours of food. So meanwhile, I'm going to get my garlic ready, and I have my spices all weighed out here. So I've got the I've got the cumin, paprika, and I'm using sweet paprika because I didn't have smoked, I couldn't find smoked, and a little dash of cayenne pepper. I don't know if anybody else has had problems getting cumin, ground cumin lately. There seems to be some kind of shortage, but so what I actually did was I bought some loose whole cumin at the co-op, and I ground it up myself, and I think that way it's fresher anyway, so it's all good. So just keep a stir on your veggies there. And once that's ready, we'll add in the garlic and the spices and the parsley stalks. So I'm just going to get those ready as well. And you've got plenty of flavour in the stalks of the parsley, so no point in letting it go to waste. And the rest we'll use then as a garnish. Give loads of plenty of fresh flavour to our lunch. So I'm just going to chop up the stalks, the parsley stalks there, quite finely. Now, meanwhile, I think my oven is heated up, so I'm going to put in the peppers. And we'll time that. I'm going to time it for 20 minutes. And at that stage, then you can turn them. The onions look like they're quite nice, and I'd say they are almost ready for the rest of the ingredients to go in. The peppers still have a bit of a crunch in them, but that's okay. Give it a nice bit of texture. Just give it another minute or so. And I think I did, I added a little bit of sugar to this recipe just because sometimes they take away the acidity of the tomatoes. But you don't need to do that if you're prepared to leave out the sugar. Right. So I'm going to put in my garlic, the parsley stalks, and the spices. Keep stirring it there.
No salt or pepper at this stage, Mary?
Not at this stage.
Okay.
Put it in afterwards.
Afterwards, okay, thank you.
So we'll sprinkle in all the spices, coat everything nicely.
Sorry, what's the measurement of spices?
So you've got 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of paprika, and a little, just a 1/4 teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. And if you don't have all of those, you know, you could, I think you can be flexible with these. You could use chili maybe, or just use what you have really. So everything's nicely coated nicely there. We'll just keep stirring it and keep it on the heat for a couple of minutes. And then I've got my tomato puree. Oops. So we're going to add the tomato puree, tablespoon, and I'm using a teaspoon here, but it's just 3 teaspoons. Tablespoon, stir that in.
Sorry, maybe it's my hearing. What's the tomato puree? How much?
Tomato puree, yeah. So, like.
Sorry, what's the measurement?
Oh, it's a tablespoon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, so we've got a really nice base for our chickpea stew here. So next, we're going to add the tomatoes, a little bit of sugar, if you like, just to take away the acidity. And then we're going to cook it off for a little bit before we add in the rest of the ingredients. Does anybody manage to make their own veggie stock? I don't like setting homework for people or anything, but I just thought it's nice if you have the time to do it. Of course, you can use a stock cube or just water as well. There'll be plenty of flavour in the dish anyway. Okay. Just going to add in a teaspoon of sugar, and we can adjust it then later if I feel it needs a little bit more. I think you could use, you could use honey or something. Maple syrup if you wanted.
Is the parsley gone in at this stage?
So just the parsley stalks, and we're going to use the parsley leaves to garnish it at the end. But if you put it in, don't worry about it. If you put in the whole thing, no major damage. Now, so we're going to leave that there, bring it up to a little bubble, and we'll leave it for about 15 minutes, and then we can add the rest of the ingredients. Okay. How's everybody getting on?
Yep, fine.
Good.
Yep. Okay.
Trying to see how I can switch back to the other view. Okay, well, I think we're okay for now. So I'll just keep stirring that so it doesn't stick.
I switched it for you.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks a million. Okay, so are we ready to move on to, we'll leave that there for about 15 minutes, probably to coincide with turning the peppers handily. And meanwhile, we can get going on our olive tapenade if people are ready.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Good stuff. Okay, so I'm using just a hand blender, but you can use a food processor, whichever you have, whichever you prefer, really. Now let me just gather all my ingredients for the olive tapenade. See if okay, so for the olive tapenade, we need our olives. So I'm using a mixture of green and black. I've got capers. I've got 2 cloves of garlic. I've got some fresh parsley, the leaves. You can put in the stalks as well, but it's a little bit awkward if you're using a hand blender, so that's why I'm using mainly the leaves for this. And this one has some rosemary as well, which I think gives this quite a distinct flavour. It's a little bit unusual, but it's very nice. And then we've got the lemon juice, olive oil, salt and pepper. So literally what I'm going to do, maybe, can we switch back? Let me just see. Sorry, Kevin, I haven't really mastered this, as you can tell.
I just did it.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So I'm literally going to combine all my ingredients, everything except for the olive oil, in my container. We've got the capers there. Probably a good idea to chop up the garlic a little bit. Just roughly, quarter, something like that. Makes it easier to blend. Put that in. And I'm just going to use the rosemary without the quite woody stalk. Tear it up a little bit. And this is another really nice one that you can keep in the fridge for a few days, and you can have it for your lunch, or just as a little snack, maybe a dip. Okay, so tear up the parsley as well. Oops. And I've got lemon juice.
Sorry, how much garlic?
So 2 cloves of garlic for this one.
2 cloves.
2 cloves, yeah. But we've got plenty of garlic in all of our dishes already, so if you're not a big garlic fan, then feel free to reduce the amount. Okay, so we've got everything in here. I'm literally the idea is to add the olive oil kind of gradually. So it's nice and blended. Now, so I'm going to just put in a little bit at a time because I'm using a hand blender. having to multitask to some extent. Okay, so here goes. It takes a little bit of a while to kind of get through, but eventually you'll turn it into a paste. Just keep adding that olive oil. A little bit more olive oil to make up our 2 tablespoons. So this one you can have it, you can blend it to a very smooth paste, or you can have it a little bit more chunky if you prefer. I'm going to leave mine with a little bit of texture, but it's up to you. I think once you make something like this yourself, you realize that it's so much better when it's homemade, and probably also way more cost effective. Hopefully you'll do it again rather than buying it in a tub in a shop. Well, of course, if it's a co-op one, it's going to be good though. So we're going to season this with some salt and pepper.
Sorry, Mary, did you put in the capers? You did?
I put everything in except the olive oil. So literally
Okay,
olives, capers, the herbs, garlic, lemon juice.
And do you rinse the capers before you use them?
To be honest, I haven't. Now, you could do, but I haven't rinsed the olives or the capers.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Thanks.
I think things like with the chickpeas, for example, with pulses and beans, it's especially the tinned variety, you definitely should rinse them in advance because you'll get a kind of residue, and I think it's healthier as well. Now, so for the tapenade, I'm going to just sprinkle in a bit of salt and a bit of black pepper, and you can kind of adjust this to taste as well. So you can just put in a little bit, see how it tastes, add some more. And then we'll just give a final blend, I think. Okay, let's taste. Ooh. I think there's so much flavor in this that you barely, salt and pepper you could probably leave out, and there's still plenty of flavor in it. The salt is good for bringing out the flavors in. If you use a nice, good quality salt, it's not all that unhealthy. So here's our tapenade, and we'll spray that. And we can use that then for our Dakos in a little bit. Now that's, oops, you see this? Trying to angle this into the camera properly. So that's how mine is looking. I think it's got some nice texture. And plenty of flavor. Okay, so we'll just put that to the side for now. Now keep an eye on your stew. there nicely. And also, I think it should be time to turn our peppers. So it's not quite 20 minutes, but I'm going to have a look at them anyway. Now, so they're starting to kind of blacken on the outside and burst a little bit as well. So I'm going to just turn them around. Now be careful, obviously they're hot. The tongs would probably be a good thing to use here, if you have it. So try and get them evenly cooked on all sides, and then it's also easier to remove the skins. So we'll put them back in the oven. I'll give it another 20 minutes. So meanwhile, back to our stew. I'm going to simply now add the chickpeas, and they can cook for a couple of minutes. I mean, they're pre-cooked, so it doesn't really take much cooking. Stir them through. And this is where you can choose either to add a little bit of water, some veggie stock, or if you like to have it nice and thick like that, that's absolutely fine. It's up to you. So I think I'm just going to add, we'll let them cook for a couple of minutes, and then I'll add the stock. So I tend to kind of, I like making my own stock because I just think you know exactly what goes into it. It adds loads of flavor. It's amazing how something as simple as this, a veggie stock, can add so much flavor, depth of flavor to a dish. So I tend to make this kind of from time to time. I keep it in these lovely glass milk jars from the co-op because they're, you know, they're nice size, and you can use it in all kinds of things: soup, stews, or even, you know, if you wanted to almost like a miso soup base, you could just heat them up and drink it as a drink. Maybe that's extreme, but I have to admit I do that sometimes. Very warming. So we'll measure out 100 ml of that. Okay, so in goes our stock. With stock, you're getting all the goodness of the leek. There's celery, there's bay leaf, which always gives loads of flavour. Carrot. That's pretty much it. Some herbs as well. Okay, so we'll just bring it up to a bubble again, and then we're pretty much ready to add in the spinach, and it's ready, more or less ready to serve. Now I'm going to leave it for a little while because we're not quite ready to serve, and I don't want the spinach to go kind of too discolored. So I think if you were planning to keep some of this for the next day, it might be an idea to just take some aside at this stage, and then you can add the spinach fresh when you want to serve it. So I think now would be a good time to toast our almonds while we're kind of finishing that off. So I'm going to actually do it in a little pan here, a dry pan. You don't need any oil or anything. and I'm going to just turn the the heat of the ring right up. Now this is key to this is don't get distracted when you're doing this. So probably not a good idea to be trying to do too many things at once. If you wanted to do it in advance, then that may work out best, because once they start kind of browning, they'll burn really quickly. So I'm going to just feel the heat off the pan. I think when I can feel it's warmed up, I'll put them in. And just watch it really closely, because they do burn very easily. You might want to turn down the heat just a little bit and just keep kind of turning them. And these will add a nice little crunch to your dish as a garnish at the end, along with the parsley. Just a nice bit of texture.
Did you put oil in the pan?
No, it's a dry pan.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
So you're literally you're toasting them as opposed to frying them. You could do this in the oven as well, but I think you have more control when you do it on a pan. Maybe a little bit boring just standing here watching them, but it won't take long at all, and it'll be worth it. You could definitely do this in the same pot as you're going to do the chickpea stew in, and that's what the recipe. That's what I put in the recipe, but you can definitely do that, and then you can just use the same pot without cleaning it or anything to do this, to cook the stew. So I think these are starting to turn a little bit brown around the edges, so just watch them carefully now. I think this is something that you could definitely do with a batch of like flaked almonds, or even, you know, for other dishes like cashews, you can do the same, and it just brings out the flavor and gives the nuts a nice crunch. And you can keep them in a nice glass jar, and they'll keep for a while. You can sprinkle them on salads or other dishes. Yeah, I feel like it's taking longer than I'm telling you it's going to take, but you know, just be careful. You don't let them burn, basically, is the message. Okay, so let's put a nice little. Literally going to give them another 10 seconds. I think that'll be it. Okay, there we go. So there's my toasted almonds. Just set them aside for now. On our stew. Okay, so we can just leave the stew simmering away there. And yes, actually, I am going to add some salt and pepper to the stew at this stage. So again, I'm just sprinkling a little bit to taste, and you can adjust it if you like. Okay, so I think we are ready to move on to the Dakos. Is everybody, is that good for everybody?
Fine, yeah, thanks.
Great. Okay, so for the Dakos, I have got some nice bread, lovely sourdough from the cup, and I'm going to just, I think we'll do tomatoes and then we can toast our bread so that it's ready and toasted and just ready to serve. Okay, so I was very happy to find some fresh oregano just yesterday, which I really didn't expect to find at this time of year, and it happens to be Irish as well, so that's amazing, and it just smells so good. I think that's the real authentic kind of flavors of Greece, but of course you can use basil, dill, and if you don't have the herbs, then it's not the end of the world. So we are going to just dice up our tomatoes. Okay, so I'll just take the top off. And we'll dice them up fairly small.
You leave the seeds in, Mary, do you?
Yeah, I leave the seeds in, everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Fine.
take it out if you think it's a bit too messy, but I think it's fine. And as long as you serve the Dakos like as soon as you make them, pretty much, then it shouldn't soak into the bread. So yeah, as I think I said already, this is a little bit like the Italian bruschetta, where you get your lightly toasted bread, you rub it with a bit of garlic. Bruschetta would just be the fresh diced tomatoes, and here we're going to add a few extra bits and pieces. Okay, let's put our tomatoes in there already. Then I've also got feta here, and another lovely feta from the Co-op, 150 grams. It's perfect for the recipe. And again, I'll just dice it up. So you could also just crumble this rather than dicing it, crumble it directly onto the bread. Excuse me. I think I've got a touch of hay fever, nothing more. Okay, so excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've got everything pretty much ready to assemble our Dakos. We've got the bread, we've got the feta, we've got the tomatoes and the oregano, or your whatever herbs you want to use. So meanwhile, I think we can just finish off our well, let's check up the red peppers. Let's do that first. So they have been in the oven now for, it's like around 15 minutes the second time. They should be getting close already. again, it's you know, it sounds like a long time, 40 minutes to do something, but it's so easy. You can just sort of leave them do their thing while you prepare something else. So you see how you've got the nice blackened, the skin is blackened there and sort of bubbling a little bit, which should make it fairly easy to remove. So I might just give them another 5 minutes, and you can turn them if you think one part needs a bit more doing. And these will be piping hot, so and they'll also we'll make sure to like pierce them before we tackle the skins, because you definitely don't want to give yourselves a steam burn. Okay, so give it another 5 minutes or so. And meanwhile, I'll finish off the stew. So if you're using spinach, you could use chard. You can leave it out, of course, as well, but it is nice to have some green in there. And it seems like quite a lot, like 250 grams. Now, I've actually just got 2 packs, which is 200 grams in total today. I think that should be plenty, really. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's the kind of thing that you could just throw in if you have a little bit of greens left in the bottom of the fridge. And they will reduce down quite a lot. So even if it sounds like a lot, you know, the dish will soak them up. And with it, you've got a nice dash of green there, so you're closer to eating the rainbow today, getting all those lovely nutrients in your different colored foods. Now it's quite like a thick kind of a stew, and definitely you could thin this down again if you prefer to have it as a more sort of soupy, you know, dish. So it's quite versatile. You've got your protein there with the chickpeas. If you wanted to serve it with something like quinoa, if you are you're conscious about getting all your protein, quinoa is a good one because it's a complete protein. You've got all 9 essential amino acids. It's a good plant-based protein. I think soya is another one. Of course, it's not grown in this country, so I'm very conscious about. I like trying to source my products as locally as possible, but it could also, as I said, we're going to eat it with bread today, and you could also just serve rice. Okay, so there's our spinach. As you can see, it just basically wilts down. You could use frozen spinach here as well. So that's a good one to keep in the freezer. And we have some lemon juice. So I can go in there now. And I think we're pretty much ready to serve that. So we'll serve it with the parsley and the toasted almonds. You can taste it at this stage and just adjust the seasoning if you like. So let's do that. Oh yeah, it's lovely. You get the lovely warming flavors of the paprika, the cayenne. Okay, so I think that's pretty much ready to go. Let's just check we've added everything we need to. Okay. So I'm ready to get going on my Dakos. So I'm literally going to take a couple of slices of bread. I'm going to put them in the toaster and toast them, gently toast them. Okay, that's my timer for my red peppers. So meanwhile, I'll take out the red peppers and just set them aside so they cool down a little bit before we tackle them. So I'm just going to pierce the pepper to release any steam as well. And that'll also allow kind of the juices will start to run out, and the juices from the red pepper you definitely want to keep because that's where all the flavor is. Okay, I'll check my bread. You don't want to toast it too darkly. I think it's just to give it a nice little bit of a crunch. Okay, let's get our bread. Now what I'm going to do with this is literally just, I have a clove of garlic here. Let me just see if I can position the camera slightly better. So I've got a clove of garlic here, and I'm going to clove the tip, okay? And literally what I'm going to do then is just scrape the bread, scrape the raw garlic over the bread. Now, as I said, you know, if you think this is all way too much garlic, you can definitely, and you don't want raw garlic, you can definitely leave it out. It'll have plenty of flavor anyway. So you're just scraping it on your crusty bread, and then we will add a little drizzle of olive oil. So some tomatoes. Okay. So the Greek feta, or you can put this in a different order if you prefer. It doesn't really matter if you prefer to do this. Feta on top. And finally, well, almost finally, we'll add our homemade olive tapenade. They're almost a meal in themselves. So if you wanted to serve them, if you're having people over, you could maybe, you know, have them more kind of appetizer, and then we'll decorate with the herbs. Having people over, says she. That's not going to happen for a little while. Hopefully, in the not too distant future. Bring about it. Okay, so there we go. There's our lovely Dakos. Ready to serve. I'm just going to put it aside and we'll finish off our peppers. Okay, so for the peppers, as I said, you definitely want to hold on to the juices as much as possible. Now I've got a nice, I'm just using a nice little glass jar because I think they keep quite well in that. I sometimes use one of these Bon Maman jars as well. They're great actually if you get hold of some of them. They fit nicely in the fridge. Okay, so make sure you can actually see what I'm doing here. We'll put it there. Okay, so as I said, you just want to be really careful with these because they are piping hot and steam kind of on the inside. So I've pierced them already. I'm going to just do it again. Definitely don't want any injuries from today. And so we'll just you know, we'll pick them up. It's a little bit awkward, I guess, but you probably need to get your fingers in. You know, just do the best you can. So I'm actually going to let out the juice here into the dish, and then you can always put them on a plate or on your chopping board and remove the skins. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's get a plate. So we collect these juices. I think it makes sense. Okay. So you want to take the seeds out from the center, of course. And I think a spoon is probably the easiest way to do that, a spoon or fork. Up the side. And then you can turn it over and just the skin, hopefully, should peel off fairly easily, especially if it's blackened and bubbling. So I think, you know, most people use peppers in their cooking, but I think this really kind of brings out the flavor of the red peppers. It's just quite different to, you know, frying them or stir frying them using another way. Definitely says it whisks me away to Sicily or somewhere like that. And today we're going to serve them with our dish as a side. I think you could definitely you can definitely keep them and serve them at room temperature, because if you keep them in the fridge, you can keep them in the fridge in the oil that we're going to sort of marinate them in. But when you bring them up to room temperature, that's when you get all the flavors. They don't taste as good if they're cold. Now just remove the skin as best you can. If it doesn't all come off, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. Great. So what I'm going to do is just slice them up. So that's just one done. Just to show you. So I'm going to just slice them into strips. Like so. It's still quite hot out of the oven. Okay, and then I'll put it into my glass jar. These are like the jars of roasted red peppers that you can buy in most supermarkets. And way better when you make them yourself. I'll collect as much of the juices as you can. So you do that with all of them. So we'll get a clove of garlic and some salt, and then I would say I might use some oregano for my peppers today, and I think because that's a herb that you can have raw. It doesn't really need to be cooked or marinated or whatever. But if you wanted to use rosemary, for example, I would use it for marinating. I wouldn't necessarily use it for serving it immediately because you won't get the flavors of it anyway. If you marinate it kind of overnight in the oil, the flavors from the herbs will infuse that way. So we'll sprinkle a bit of salt. And get the garlic. There's some garlic crusher. Here we go. And then you can just pour over some oil, and that's it, really.
What olive oil are you using, Mary? Is that from the co-op?
It's not actually. This one is. It's just. I got in Dunn's Spanish extra virgin olive oil. I think for something like this.
It looks lovely and green.
Yeah, it's a nice. I haven't tried. I don't think I've tried this one before actually, and they seem to have a range of different, Italian, Spanish, Greek. So I went for the Spanish this time.
Good.
But yeah, no,
Thanks.
I'm sure the co-op had some really nice olive oils there, and yeah, probably very well sourced as well. Okay, so that's our red peppers, and they're pretty much ready to serve as well. So I'm going to dish up my stew, and we'll just garnish it, and then I think we're pretty much done. How's everybody getting on there? Any questions or?
Grand, fine, thanks.
Good.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Stew. I'm just going to sprinkle a bit of tearing up the parsley. Now you could chop it if you wanted to, if you prefer it more finely chopped. Again, really healthy. And we've got our toasted almonds, which give a nice crunch at the end. And voila. That's it. I think my lunch is ready.
How long will the tapenade last for, Marianne?
The olive. I made another one. It will definitely last at least a few days.
Okay.
You know, and I think because the olives and the capers, they're already in brine, most likely the ones that you've bought. You know, it'll last for a while, and then you've got the olive oil as well to kind of preserve a little bit. So definitely a few days, if not 5 days or possibly even longer. Okay, so we've got our stew, we've got our tapenade, and then of course you can eat the stew with some nice crusty bread as well, plain crusty bread. I've got a roasted red peppers. It'd be really nice if we could do like a screenshot with everybody's dishes. Is everybody ready to? Are you at that stage or?
No. I just want to ask, is the secret with the peppers to make sure they're evenly cooked?
Yeah. I mean, if where possible, you know, you'll probably get black bits in parts, not everywhere, but yeah, as evenly as possible.
Oh no,
So that's. Oh, sorry, the peppers.
Not the black bits, but some of the skin, some of the pepper. Sorry, some of the pepper wasn't cooked, so therefore the skin wouldn't come off.
Yeah. So I think it probably depends a lot on your oven, the heat of your oven. They vary.
Okay.
You know, each oven is individual. So definitely, you know, if you feel they're not cooked and the skin is not bubbling, you can turn it again, leave it in for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, for future reference, I think I'll keep turning.
Yeah, and you know, maybe you need to have it slightly higher in the oven, play around a little bit like that. But you can, I mean, if they're not cooked now and you feel it needs a bit longer, you could put them back in. Maybe bring your oven up to the correct temperature again, put them back in, blast them for another 10 minutes or whatever.
No, I think 75% of them are, but no, it's grand. 2 out of 3 were, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, oh good.
I think it's the gas mark I got wrong.
Okay, yeah. I should think about the gas mark because I kind of assume, I guess, that most people are using electric, but it's not always the case, is it?
Oh, don't worry, no, I'm really happy with them.
Good. Okay, so
Well, the peppers should be very nice because I find the peppers in Aldi or Lidl in the jars are sort of nearly in brine, aren't they?
Yes.
are they in brine or are they in olive oil? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure now about that, but
Yeah. Sometimes I get a bit of a taste of sort of a vinegary taste of them.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe they add, you know, they might add something else like red wine vinegar or something like that. But
I'd say these are going to be delicious.
well, I definitely think so. This is, you know,
Yeah.
it's just a very simple kind of dish to, well, nice side for any dish really.
Yeah, very nice. That looks lovely. Yeah, there they are. How do you find those, Paul?
They're okay. They're okay. It just says white spirit vinegar, sugar. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Ingredients.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
more of
It's
a kind of
it's a
pickle.
sweetened. Yeah, it's a sweetened vinegar.
Okay.
Yeah.
The sugar.
Yeah, no, I don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to say, and I know the Coop have not asked me to plug their products today, but I will say I bought red peppers in Super Value, I think. I had peppers from Super Value and peppers from the Coop, and there's no comparison in the flavour. You know, I really think the quality of the ingredients kind of makes all the difference to a dish as well. Of course, you know, you kind of just get whatever ingredients you can, the best quality you can, but definitely I think the Coop do some really, really nice stuff. So I'm sure you have similar shops over there in Roscommon, Paul, and up in Donegal.
Yeah, well,
nice independent veggie stores.
Yes, absolutely. The people I work for here have their own farm shop in Moville, and they sell lovely
fantastic!
stuff, organic
Yeah.
stuff,
Well, you've all got your own produce. Then you were saying the same, Paul. You grow some stuff.
Yeah, well, it's early in the season yet, but we've got. Hopefully now in the next couple of weeks you will be able to produce in season dishes that we can take to the garden.
Amazing! Yeah. There's nothing like the flavour of something that's freshly picked from your own garden, is there?
No, nothing like it. Nothing like it. No, absolutely not.
That's zero.
We get a lot of stuff. Then we have to actually find ways of preserving it and, you know, saving it. You know,
and you need to be creative, I suppose, with what you can do with all the when you get so much of one thing all at once.
That's right. That's
right.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Okay.
What's that?
That looks great. It looks
Thank
great.
you very
Mary.
much. I'm going to log off.
All busy.
Okay, great. Thanks a million, guys. Let me see if I can.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy your lunch.